Welcome back to the Hard4Games channel, everybody. I'm your host, Tony, and I'm happy to say that yet another long-lost N64 title has been discovered. This time we're taking a look at Carnival, Cenzo's Adventure, or sometimes just referred to as Carnival. The game was in development by TerraGlyph Studios and was to be published by Vatical Entertainment. It was based on an animated film that received a very limited release in only certain European countries, so a very obscure film. Essentially, a group of young friends enter a magical carnival only to learn that if they can't escape, they'll be turned into rides and trapped there forever. Doomed to become part of the carnival, the Carnival itself. The cast of kids are featured in the game via cutscenes, but at least as far as I'm aware, you only play as Cenzo, who seems, at least based on his character model, less of a child and more of like a middle-aged man, but early build, maybe it would have changed? I don't know. Unfortunately, TerraGlyph ran into some company and financial issues and left the game very unfinished. Vatical, the publisher, opted not to continue work on the project and just dropped it entirely. So basically, they just pulled the plug instead of taking what the developer had done and attempting to move it to another studio for completion. And despite the date that's written on the cartridge, this build is seemingly from 1999. Big thank you to Baker, aka Baker64, for dumping this ROM and sending it over to us so we can take that first look exclusive sneak peek. Appreciate it, sir. Thank you for preserving this and being willing to release it as well. Let's go ahead and dive in. All right, here we go. It's Carnival, Cenzo's Adventure. Like I mentioned in the introduction, this is based off of a very limited release European animated film. So we see stills from that film, which unfortunately I have not seen. Most of the world hasn't seen it, but we see stills from that film in the introduction here, trying to sort of piece it together. It's still a little bit confusing as to what's going on, but again, this is an unfinished version of the game. Who knows how it would have been all explained and fleshed out if it was given time. You can also notice that a lot of the text is just kind of too big for the text boxes, so, you know, a lot of little things where the game would have to be tweaked all over the place. Here we go. This screen actually functions like a main menu where you get introduced to your options as well as your player character model, and he is a goofy looking dude. Lots of different options here, starting with the controller options, and for some reason I really love the model of the N64 controller here. I don't know if it's the shading, the realism, or what, but I really like it for some reason, which is an odd thing to say. A big part of the gameplay in this particular title is minigames, and one of the minigames that's sort of reoccurring is racing. And it has its own control scheme here, as you'll see, which of course makes sense. The racing itself is sort of a combination between bumper cars and kart racing. Now, once you get into the carnival, these tents over here are known as freak tents, and they allow you to create and generate passwords and also enter the passwords. I believe I've actually yet to get any of it to work. That said, they're still worth visiting because the art is pretty cool here. Here we are in the main carnival hub world. We get to take a closer look at the environment, but especially our player character here, who is just so funky. You're gonna see his little creeping, weird walk that he does. Also has a run, which is, I guess, a little bit more normal, but that walk is something else. The layout of the main hub area is a little bit strange. You have a lot of tents and spaces you can go into to play minigames, but you also have tents you can go into to adjust the options and enter a password, similar to what we saw in the main menu, which is good that those options exist outside of the main menu and in the hub world. But it seems like every 100 feet you walk, you have another one of these like options tents. So it's kind of bizarre that you encounter them so often. It almost makes me think that maybe some of them are just placeholder for future minigames and they would have reduced the number of option houses and tents you see in the hub world, because as you'll see my playthrough here, I keep running into them over and over and over again. So another thing that you will soon learn when playing this game is that everything that's minigame based also has a cost, either silver or the more rare and expensive gold coins. So this game has an abundance of farming and grinding for money. In addition to having an abundance of option houses and an abundance of grinding, it also has a lot of style. As you can see here, everything is very colorful, very dreamlike, very twisted. I really enjoy the art style here. Now, as you explore around a little bit, you'll realize that most of the areas you can go to that are outside of the main hub, the main field that I showcased to begin with, are either restricted or too expensive for you right now. They are also guarded by mechanical dogs that will chase you away and steal your money. Now, the first weapon you'll get is basically a stick that can double function as a blowgun and also a stick that you can just smack the mechanical dogs away with. There is a first-person mode that you can shoot the blowgun with, and it's a lot more accurate, but when you're just utilizing it sort of on the run, it's pretty inaccurate and difficult to actually hit the mechanical dogs. So, user beware, it's best to just smack them with your stick and get them to go away. As you can see here, I keep attempting to get a shot off before it steals my money, and for the most part, I am failing. Finally here, got it, and it's on the run. Now again, to really play any of the more affordable minigames, you need at least 8 silver coins, which you don't get right off the bat. You have nothing in your wallet to begin with. So the best place to find them is basically just on the ground. These trees in particular will drop the silver coins and you can go pick them up. You wait a little bit, you hear the branches rustling in the wind, and they will drop more silver coins for you. One of the best ways to initially get silver coins, and really the only way to get a decent number of gold coins at the very beginning of the game, is this duck shooting minigame. It's a little bit tricky at first because you have to understand where you're positioned and angled at and how these clowns that pop up, how they will block your shot, but once you understand that and how the space functions, it's pretty simple to play. The challenge is the game itself glitching and freezing. Apparently, based on my experience and based on the owner's experience, if you enter the little hut with a weapon equipped, it will be more likely to freeze or glitch out. Sometimes this glitch happens when you exit and try to go back in, and sometimes the minigame just ends, but you're still in there and you're just stuck in there in perpetuity. You're just stuck. The glitches can be especially frustrating because, you know, again, you're sort of grinding for coins and then suddenly the dog comes along and does this and you can pick those coins back up, but then he hits you again and you're trying to hit him, it's not working, hits you again. It's kind of odd too because you don't have like a health meter or anything, but if you do get hit enough, you will die and go back to the main menu. Part of the challenges of this game being sort of a pseudo open world experience is that you don't really know where to go, especially at this stage of the build. Obviously, it's unfinished. So for example, I enter this maze area over here. I don't know how to navigate it, at least the first couple of times. It's especially difficult when your camera keeps turning around and such. There's no map or anything, or at least there's no set map. You can acquire an item that is a map, but it resets every time you exit and enter this area, so you don't get to keep it. And the map is somewhat out of the way. It is not on the main path, so if you want to get it again, you kind of have to spend longer in this area to actually acquire it. All while avoiding the enemies. As you can see here, these plants will attack me and I'll lose all of my coins, and there's also a gentleman with a giant hammer that can kill me. To add insult to injury, this is also an area you're not supposed to be in yet, so by the time you get to the little house in the middle, you enter it and you're told to come back. There's also a mallet mini game, and I figured, well, maybe this would give me the edge on the baddies. So I played it for a little bit, figured it out. You can't be too strong because that's dangerous. You have to be just right and in the green. Now, it's a little bit bizarre because once you actually get the mallet, a timer starts, and you have to figure out what you're supposed to do with it. Now, I figured I could use this on the enemies, but I wasn't exactly sure initially, so I'm kind of wandering around and also trying to figure out how to equip it. By the way, you have to press R and then up C to equip it. I can't figure that out right here, so I end up just wasting my time thinking that maybe if I go to an enemy, it'll just auto-attack, which it does not. You will run out of time eventually and then realize that you need to repay to play the mallet game. Again, in this particular title, everything is about money and affording the minigames. So here I am, I got the mallet again, I'm going to equip it properly, and then I'm going to go ahead and fight the other guy in the maze with the mallet. There's a little bit of tension here because I need to be able to navigate this thing, find a moving target, all while this timer is running down. And I don't really know what I'm going to get if I actually defeat this guy. I'm hoping that maybe it'll allow me to go into the main area in the center of this maze. But I'm going to give you a little spoiler alert. It doesn't. Basically, defeating that guy just gives you some gold coins, which is great. It's a good way to get gold coins, but you also have to farm silver coins, get the mallet, go against a timer, etc., deal with the maze, find the enemy, attack the enemy, all within a certain amount of time to be able to get some gold coins from him. As you can see, I'm very much running out of time here. In this particular instance, I just ran out of time and get absolutely demolished. This zoom in is actually really appropriate because it's how I feel, especially with the rats trying to get at my corpse right now. You can see them just absolutely swarming on the other side of the fence. Yep, that's me. Here we go, here's me trying to do it again, hoping to have a little bit better luck this time around. I think I have enough time. Now, he got me first, but I can recover my... Oh. Okay. Alright, fourth or whatever time is a charm. I'm actually doing pretty well here. I'm about to encounter my first hammer guy. We'll call him a hammer bro, for lack of a better term. And I smack him, I get my 2 gold coins. I'm up to 14 gold coins now. And I'm gonna go ahead and use the time I have left to try to get another one of these baddies down. But check this out. I get hit, I hit him, I get the gold coins. I was at 14 gold coins. Now I'm at 15, but a few of them are stuck on the geometry of the fence, and I can't get them. So I got some, and I lost some. Having enough money opens up one of the more interesting aspects of the game. Just like real life, having more money opens up quite a bit of opportunity for you. But here we are, it is a racing style minigame. It is somewhere between kart racing and bumper cars. I mean, you are seemingly literally in a bumper car, and it plays as such. Everything is very heavy on the brakes, heavy on the gas, very twitchy back and forth, and it feels like you're playing on ice, which I'm assuming wouldn't have been how it would be in the retail version of the game had it been released. This seems very untweaked, unfine-tuned, but alas, this is just the state that it's in right now. There are some neat little power-ups here, which I'll showcase a little bit more later on, but for this part right here, basically you have to do 3 laps around a very long track, and then sort of a boss race, which is another 3 laps around the very long track. I appreciate the opportunity to practice, but I wish that was just like a practice lap instead of a practice 3 laps. Once you win the race, you are treated to some still frame cutscenes and a new enemy on the overworld map. After completing that section of the game, I assumed that maybe some of the other areas would open up for me, like that one house in the center of the maze, or just some of the other areas that said you can't come here right now, come back later. Alas, they didn't. I even tried killing the executioner successfully with the mallet, but that didn't really work either, so that's sort of where I got stuck. I'd love to see if you guys are able to get a little bit further in this title, because I'd like to see where it goes. Despite the game itself being a beautifully, beautifully artistic slog. So we're back to the main menu, and this time we're going to choose racing. We have a number of different characters we can play as, and a bunch of them that we need to unlock. It also seems like these darkened tracks need to be unlocked as well. My best guess would be that you would eventually run into them in game, and that would unlock them, though I'm not really sure at this point. This will give us a better idea as to what these power-ups do, because I'm not necessarily trying to win here, I'm just trying to mess around so I can get some visuals for you all. So that is Carnival, Cenzo's adventure. Again, big thank you to Baker64 for preserving this and sending this our way, and of course being willing to release it via Forest of Illusion. If you'd like to check it out yourself, there will be links in the description below. Otherwise, I do think that even if we throw out all of the financial and weird issues that the developer was having, I still think that if completed, this game probably would not have been a success. The core game mechanic being built so fundamentally around grinding and farming for coins to be able to play the minigames just isn't interesting enough. And I understand that more minigames would have been added and things would have been tweaked, but as it stands, that's just kind of where my opinion falls. Maybe if they had some minigames in there that just blew my mind, or they were to eventually make them incredibly cheaper so you could just like bounce around and not have to constantly be spending money and going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth with like trees and like hammering bad guys for gold coins and stuff. That probably would have been better, but I mean, who's to say? I do also think that aside from the core gameplay issues, you know, being based off of a very limited release film doesn't exactly scream a marketing success to me, you know, for better or for worse. I think that regardless, it would have struggled, whether it be from a sales standpoint, a critical standpoint, or what have you. But let me know in the comments below if you think this could have been a good game, or if you think that just the concept isn't strong enough in and of itself. I'd like to hear what your thoughts are. And aside from that, I do appreciate all of you watching, taking that time to hit that notification bell, that subscribe button, all that good stuff, and we'll see you all next time.